Hi everybody, this is Chris,
This is Matt.
and we're in the same place today. Rarely happens. We'll probably stream some games later. Although you guys will see this after the fact.
Right.
So
we'll probably
we have streamed some games. Too late for you.
If you wanted to see it.
Yeah, it's too bad.
Yeah.
I might set it on Twitter or something. First Chris and Matt Fest in Superior, Wisconsin.
Yeah, it's been pretty wild. I mean, what have we done so far? I
went to a used game store and
we
ate some bad Mexican.
Went to a candy store.
And
we played No Man's Sky for a while.
No Man's Sky.
It's been pretty wild, as you can imagine when we get together.
Yeah, it's nonstop excitement. Oh, we did play Beyond Forbidden Forest.
Oh yeah,
which is really good.
Stay tuned for that because it's a great time.
We're gonna cover that sometime. But today we're talking about Ultima.
Yes, Ultima I.
Ultima I. And as always, every month we get together, talk about games. This game is we spent about a month playing it, then come back and give our feelings, thoughts, and impressions of it. It's not a review. We're not going to score it. We are going to dissect it, talk about the parts we like and don't like. It'll be neat because Matt actually gets to see my reactions and notes this time and isn't just thinking about what I'm doing.
Right, I'm not just picturing you.
No, we need a better way to do that, but
I know.
I'm not terribly worried about it, I guess.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Uh-oh.
We found our first problem. Is there something we can do about this?
Why would it auto shut down when it's
obviously picking up stuff? Because there's no audio coming to it. Because I need to press power to cancel.
Oh, it's like keep talking and nobody explodes.
Yeah, no.
Uh-oh.
Which one's yours? Not the Razor.
I am the Ear Force Stealth 450.
Oh, that's
the wrong one. We're dead. You killed us.
Oh my God. Okay.
Oh Jesus. Whew.
The technical problems.
Everyone's still there?
Yeah, right?
That was intense.
That was close. Let's hope we don't have that again. All right.
It almost shut down my headset. I don't know. You probably can't hear it say.
You guys just saw us panic for no reason. Do that.
All right. We're back on track. Kind of.
Sort of.
Here comes the Ultima.
There we go. Ultima I.
Woo-wee.
Now, I played on Commodore.
I played the Good Old Games remake. That's not really that much of a remake. Like, it wasn't dramatically different from the Commodore version, but it was still, updated somewhat.
I also played the 1980 Apple version before the re-release in 1986. I did not intend to play two different games, but they are very different games. We're going to talk about that.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Because you would think you make it once. Why would you
go back and remake it? Well, and I know part of why he remade it is like the 1980 version was the California Pacific version, so they owned that. And then in 1986, he had started his own company. He wanted to put it on some more systems that, like Commodore and the rest of them to make some money off those. It totally makes sense, but to change it as much as it got changed, I think is interesting and something. We're looking at Commodore load times now. I love doing this.
Yeah.
Just making everybody watch. Oh, here comes the intro for the Commodore.
Yeah, the slowest bird flight in the history of the world.
Yeah, this is not a... This is not slowed down due to emulator. This is just...
This is what it is.
It's a slow bird flight.
Thinking about the Apple thing, though, like, anyone who's ever done any kind of coding project, if you go back and look at the stuff, obviously you would change it.
Well, and he also changed it from basic to assembly.
Yeah.
So there's a huge speed improvement. Right. And you can see that in the dungeons between the two systems. Like I showed you the dungeons last night, and we'll show them later. In the Apple version, every frame redraws the entire dungeon, and it does it at this painfully slow, like flicker in pace. So if you pass a turn or you step forward, everything gets redrawn, and
it was painful to watch.
It's almost unplayable. I'm impressed. There are things about it I liked more than the new version, and again, we'll get back to that. But since most people are going to play things today. Since most people are going to play the re-release, you're not going to play the Apple version. We're going to mostly focus on talking about that.
Yeah. And I would say, like, from a usability and overall experience, I felt like I got the game playing the good old games. It was like a bundle of Ultima 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
I'd say go for it. Like, that's a good way to pick it up. Put some bacon in good old game's mouth.
Yeah. Would you play 1 or 3 first?
I mean, I think that I would start with 1. I was thinking about this morning. Because I liked 1 the best of any of the Ultimas we've played. But I feel like the later ones they're significant, like, because there's so many Ultima games.
Yes.
That it's a good way to like look at game design through a long period of time, because everyone is like a mile marker in in gaming, right? So I would say 1 is the most fun. Just going back to play it from like a archaeological perspective, maybe the other ones are more significant, but I thought 1 was by far the most fun.
Yeah, I'm trying to find out how many Ultima games there are, and there doesn't seem to be like an easy count to this. Because, you got me thinking about it. So, like, there's Ultima 1 through 9, but 7 had 2 parts. Then you could effectively argue 1 is 2 different games, because there's a 1980 version and there's a new version.
Yeah.
Then there's a Calabath. So I'm up to 9, 10, 11. There's the Ultima Extended Savage Worlds and Martian Dreams. So there's 13. Then there is the 2 Underworlds. So there's 15. And then there is Runes of Ultima. There were 2 games like that made for the Game Boy. So that's 17. And there's Mines of Mount Drash, which I don't know that a lot of people count because it only came out on some weird system. And like right after Ultima 1, California Pacific still had the license to do it. So I lost count. We had 18, 19, 18, I think.
Yeah. There's Ultima Online.
Ultima Online. So that's 19. And that's if you're not counting the consoles as different games. Like Ultima 3 plays way different on Nintendo than it does on any of the other stuff. So yeah, at minimum of 19 Ultima games.
Yeah, from 1981 was this?
This was 1980. Yeah,
or 1980 all the way through like the early 2000s.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah. So, man, I'm gonna have to find the actual number, but that is a lot of Ultima games.
Yeah, and so like you can see when story enters into role playing, through Ultima. But when I go back and play them, these are the ones I like the most. The boiled down ones. In Ultima 1, you can't even talk to people.
No, not really.
You can transact with the king and the merchants, and the jester will say some shit to you when you're walking around. But for the most part, you're not getting... And you get some story through the pub. But you don't have to like go talk to anyone, really. You don't talk to the randoms in town.
No.
And I like that.
Yeah.
I like not talking to people.
No, this is one of the things I liked about Wizardry back when I first played Wizardry. Sometimes I just want to go in a dungeon, kill a bunch of things, and level up my character. I feel like the leveling in Wizardry has more weight to it, but this is still fun.
Yeah, this is a blast. I really had a good time with this. And I think it's so weird and so boiled down. I came into it expecting it to be like more of a role-playing game
that you would
expect. Yeah. Because I'm thinking I got to go into every one of these dungeons. I got to talk to all these people. No, man, you don't have to do that.
No,
it's fine. Like I did it and I like doing it, but it's not like go down at the bottom of every dungeon and kill the monster and blah, blah, blah.
If you play the game, if you wanted to do this, you wouldn't have to do this, but if you wanted to do this, and you wanted to win, you could go in one dungeon once by, like, doing everything else, and then going in that dungeon once, killing the 4 things you have to kill, getting out, and never going in a dungeon again.
Yeah.
Or you could spend your whole time just bouncing back and forth through a dungeon, building up everything, getting enough money to go into space. Do that. I think space is the only thing you have to do.
Yeah.
Because you need space to do a time machine, and we'll show space later.
Yeah. Terrific.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a really strange game.
Mm-hmm. You read the manual.
I did. I read the whole manual. There wasn't a lot there.
No.
And it tells you very little.
It does.
Ironically enough, the one manual I read tells you next to nothing about the game. You get your direction from like some random pub. He tells you've got to get like a time machine. I'm okay.
Yeah.
And that's the game. Like that's.
No, there was I think it was Carmack who said it, that like story in games is sort of like a story in porn. It's expected to be there, but no one cares.
Yeah.
Yeah. Early
Fair
games,
enough.
that's what it was. It was Garriott who's like, maybe we should care. Maybe we should do something more. And that's where you see like Ultima 3 really tried to have a story.
Mm-hmm.
And then 4 took that to a new level and in a new direction. And
right.
I think 4 changed the rules on that for role-playing games anyway. They made story viable.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the most important things about Ultima 4.
Right.
It's
important.
story viable.
But is it really that much fun?
It's as fun as reading a book.
Okay.
So if it's a good book and a good story and something that hooks into you,
yeah,
you're gonna love it.
I mean, you have to have story now in games.
I question that.
Well, I mean,
PUBG.
in like role-playing games.
Yeah, in role-playing games.
You
can't. Keep holding that thought.
What's a role-playing game you can think of now with no story? I can't think of any. Is someone making a role-playing game with no story?
I'm looking at things like Slay the Spire. Like
Rogue
games are making quite a comeback, actually, and you can argue there's a story, but it's really more like an Ultima 1 story. There's a bad guy at the end. Go, beat him up.
This looks kind of like a good time.
Yeah, it does. Slay the Spire. Guild of Dungeoneering.
Yeah, no story. Well, my point still stands though. Like your AAA.
You're showing me errors right in front of me.
I mean, these aren't really role-playing games. That one was a card game. Because like role-playing.
What is a role-playing game?
Well, it's a game where you assume the role of a character and experience a story through their.
So Half-Life is a role-playing game.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you could. It's got role-playing elements. It's not just constant action.
Well, and I think this is one of the things that's been a problem over the years is the reality of role-playing games is diluted. Mm-hmm. It's no longer like if you had said what is an RPG in 1985, there is a box and all the things in that box would have had to be in your game where it's not a role-playing game.
Yeah.
I no longer think that's the case. I think every other genre looked at role-playing games and went, I want to borrow that piece or that piece or that piece. So now all of them have an element of it in there. And role-playing games looked at all the other things and are like, man, we want,
right.
We want to do something other than I enter a 10x10 room, seeing an orc carrying chest, roll a d20. They wanted something a little more. So you get your Baldur's Gates, you get your Curse of the Age of Bronze, you get your Ultima 4s. All of these very different types of games with very different types of playthroughs. So it's changed a lot, but
I think the easy way to view that is just to look at Town. Like Town in Ultima 1 is like it's a lot like Questron is what it reminded me of, but there's counters. You go to town, you do business. Like you do the business in the town and then you leave.
Yeah.
In Ultima 4, you have to talk to everyone. You have to find shit. There's mazes in town. Like, God damn it! Like, I just want to I
just want to buy a sword.
Yeah, or a blaster.
Or a blaster,
maybe.
Oh yeah. So, you want to talk about the sci-fi parts of Ultima 1 now,
so
or
weird.
do you want to?
Such a weird mashup. Yeah, let's talk about it because ultimately you're trying to get a time machine.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you get a time machine? You go to space and become a space ace.
Yeah. So yeah, basically you Talk to a guy in a bar who tells you that the princesses have time machines, and the princesses are held in castles. Did you get caught by the lecher at all?
No.
Okay. So there's a guy running around the bar. I don't remember what happens. I didn't record it. But like if he's standing next to you when you talk and buy something, like weird stuff happens to you, the lecher gets you.
Oh,
There's a lecher at the bar.
I did get stuff stolen, I think. Was that the lecher?
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah. Creepy old guy at the bar coming up to you, doing stuff to you while you're trying to get drinks. Ultima I, already with the moral lessons.
Yep.
Thank you, Richard Garriott.
Yeah, thanks for that one. Careful, cover your drinks.
Cover your drinks. Get the color changing finger polish.
Yep.
There's creepers at the bar. Anyway, so you find out that you then save up enough money to get a space shuttle, go into outer space, shoot a bunch of TIE fighters, come back down. Then when you rescue the princess, because if you rescue her beforehand, she'll be like, thanks, but you ain't getting my time machine.
Here's 500 gold, thanks for your time.
Yeah.
Like fighting 8 guards.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I know I was captured in a cell by Lord British.
Yeah. Why are people throwing their princesses in jail constantly?
All the princesses, too.
All of them. Everyone.
All of them. Yeah.
Well,
I don't know.
More questions than answers.
If they had like wizards, that would at least make more sense with the time machine.
Sure.
Like I'd argue that a wizard has a time machine. Why does a princess have a time machine?
Just I don't know.
Or a prince, equal opportunity question.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe she was creating all kinds of paradoxes, and so they had to put her in jail to keep her away from the time machine.
Probably. Get a princess with a time machine. Problems just ensue.
Oh yeah. Anyway,
so that's how you get that. You get the time machine. You go back and you kill Monday.
And she won't give it up unless you're a space ace.
She won't give it up unless you're a space ace. You got to shoot 20 TIE fighters.
Yep, and they are unmistakably TIE fighters, like unapologetically TIE fighters. But whatever. Are we gonna get a DMCA takedown now from LucasArts because we said TIE fighters?
I don't think so. But that's not the only sci-fi elements in the game. So, like, to go into space, you need a vacuum suit. There's air cars, which are just a blast.
Yeah, love the air car. It's like a hovercraft.
It's like a hovercraft with a laser rifle on it. There are blasters and pistols and phasers and light swords that you use to fight bad guys. And there is a heavy sci-fi element. The TIE fighters. So they're unmistakably TIE fighters, but they are retconned later in Ultima 7 to be Kilrathi.
Oh, really?
From Wing Commander.
Nice.
Yup.
That's a good move.
Yup.
The thing, it's not so much weird that there's sci-fi elements. I mean, it is weird, but it's also mixed in with the old English like role playing. It's really strange. Like, thou art a space ace.
Thou art a space ace. That's fantastic. My favorite quote from the bartender is, "Thou had best know this is a great game."
Thanks.
I think I'll make that judgment for myself there, LB, but, nice of you to, like, try and push the point on me, I guess,
Yeah, you better know.
So, we've talked about Questron a couple times. Questron, Lord British tried to sue Questron from getting made. We'll talk about the Apple version in a second. That'll help explain a little bit why. Now that you've played Ultima 1, do you feel like he was right or wrong?
Oh, absolutely.
You think it was a total ripoff?
Yeah.
Yeah?
It is a total ripoff. But it's well done. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not just... I wouldn't say it's a total ripoff, but it's close enough. Because Questron did a couple things that were unique.
Yeah.
It had some mini games that you don't get. It had that different castle view where it's like still third person, but a little more zoomed in.
Yeah.
So it added. I wouldn't call it. I would call it a derivative work, but I wouldn't call it a ripoff.
Well, and that's one of the things that I like when we play Deathlord later. You're going to see another thing that's very similar. Man, I'm unsure how to feel about it, because especially the Apple version where there's the hover car.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the hover car a second.
Yeah.
Thing on the back. Everybody right now, I'm going to give you 3 seconds. Look at the hover car. The thing on the back. What is that little top of the Z there? If you said engine, you're like Matt and me.
Yeah.
But like, I was playing again, like maybe it's a gun?
It could be the laser cannon, or it could just be a badass spoiler.
Could be a badass spoiler.
I think the air car looks kind of like a mouse.
You think it looks like a mouse?
Silhouette, yeah. It looks kind of like the silhouette of a little running mouse with big ears in the front.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Ultima Russia.
Yeah.
What is here? What do you see? A butterfly?
Yeah.
No. Let's talk about the graphics a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, they are what they are, man. They're not bad. I really like the monsters in the dungeon.
The monsters in the dungeons
There's some terrific ones.
And like these got changed up and cleaned up a little bit to look, the outdoor graphics cleaned up and look more like Ultima 3, but the monsters in the dungeon, nothing was changed. The upgrade didn't change any of them. They look just like they used to.
Mm-hmm.
Which do you like better, having seen them? I understand disk loading times is a thing for you with the Commodore.
It is a thing.
But the IBM tries to add a little bit of color to all the monsters, but it's got a really limited color palette. Do you like that, or do you like the plain white Ultima silhouette, Commodore silhouette?
I like the silhouette. They were silhouettes in mine. They weren't colorized.
Weren't they?
No, they were still silhouettes.
It's been a while.
Yeah, but I like that. Like you can see sometimes the walls of the dungeon right through them.
Oh, not the dungeons. I mean on the overland. On the overland.
Oh, on the overland.
Because like
yeah, that's right. Because there are colors on the. I like the color. I liked that there's a little color.
Okay.
It helped, But I mean, I don't. It wasn't like mind blowing or anything. It didn't change my life. But.
No, I for some reason like the plain white.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Maybe it's my own. That's where I came from.
Mm-hmm.
But there's something. Oh,
go kill a.
Man, is my video just lagging?
I don't know. A what?
A what? I think it's Carrion Crawler.
What's happening here?
Huh. Hang on, I'm scrubbing video, guys. What's going on? Weird. I've noticed my recording software with the Commodore stuff is weird. I need to stop recording straight from the game and start recording the screen.
Yeah.
So there might be a little glitchiness with what you're seeing, but that's why.
Yeah.
All right. Space stuff seems out of place.
Yeah, but like in a cool way that you could get away with in the early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could do that. There were no rules about,
Right.
And like they kind of do it nowadays with like Skyrim. You've got the like Dwemer droid things.
Yeah.
But they ease into it a little more gently.
They do more of a steampunk, more of a something like that.
I appreciate the balls out, unapologetic, like space stuff just thrown in with you get a mace on one hand and a phaser in the other, and you like go to space.
And I think most people think back to the early 80s and try to imagine this time where they weren't as mixed as they were back then. But like the AD&D guide I had from back then told you how to blend your Gamma World game with your Star Frontiers game with your D&D campaign.
Yeah.
Not Expedition to Barrier Peaks. Was it Expedition to Barrier Peaks? Yeah, Expedition to Barrier Peaks had a spaceship that crashed with flowcharts so you could use phaser rifles and stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there was an attempt to blend stuff back then. Gary, it wasn't alone in it, but
yeah,
man, unapologetic in this game. Like,
yeah.
And then each one, like Ultima You know, one had that, two had time gates, and you went through time travel, but you were on Earth. 3, Exodus was a computer, but I think that was really the end of um, your tech.
Yeah, yeah.
And then everything after that. So really, when you look at it, Lord British was keeping all his people down by removing tech from the world and helping keep them from
Right.
advancing.
Maybe that's why he had the princess locked in jail.
Maybe she had a time machine. She could go help everybody get their tech back.
Yep.
Give them computers and stuff.
There was a computer at the end of Questron too, wasn't there?
Mm-hmm.
Like he was gonna use his computer to destroy
destroy everything.
the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I like it. Like, it's funny now.
Yeah.
You like laugh at it while you're playing, but I like it. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
I didn't use magic at all in Ultima 1. I didn't bother.
Well,
it wasn't that hard.
No, it's not that hard. I remember as a kid I used magic a lot. What I did use magic for in Ultima 1 was for the dungeons. I'd get a ladder up spell.
Yeah.
And then I'd go all the way down, kill the thing I needed to kill, and just zip right back up.
Right.
Because in the dungeons, the ladders are always in the same place. Every dungeon, everything, is a grid of 9 by 9, and the ladders are kitty corner from each other.
Right.
So if you go like near where you want to go, you can like cast ladder up, step, go up the ladder, step back, cast ladder up, and just zigzag, bam, 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 and in 5 spells you're actually up all 10 levels.
Yeah.
And you can get out of the dungeon.
Yeah, I liked how small the dungeons were.
It was nice. It's you don't have to map, but if you're gonna set up camp in one, it's nice to map.
That's what I wound up doing. I set up camp in a dungeon, and I kept going back to it, and I knew the whole thing really well. It's kind of nice not to have to go into every dungeon and have a whole new map to make. And
yeah,
like I mapped a couple of them, but Montour is basically where I did all my business.
Yeah, and that's nice. You get a sense of feeling like you'll find part of Ultima 1 somewhere that you feels like home.
Yeah.
That's your place to play and do your thing. Like when I was a kid, it was Mines of Mount Drash. You mentioned Montour, so I started going to Montour, and I enjoyed Montour. We're in space. We should talk about space a little bit.
Yeah, this is weird. So there's apparently a space base, a space station up there with some fighters that you can take with your shuttle.
Yeah.
And that's the Earth and the Sun.
Yeah.
And I don't know a lot about astronomy, but they seem a little on the small side.
They seem a little on the small side. Are a little on the small side. The mechanics for all this are every time you move your ship, you use fuel. Man, yeah, my video is really choppy.
It's not happy.
No.
Yeah, you have that overview, and then there's like a kind of a map with the different quadrants that you hyper jump between, and then you fight. Let's get a look at these TIE fighters if your video ever comes back.
Yeah, I was gonna say, hang on here. Let me. Oh, there's one. Yeah, sorry, this is more of a slideshow.
Yeah.
But TIE fighters kind of pop in, and then you move your cursor around to try and shoot them, and you want to shoot them before they shoot you, and you need to have enough money to dock at the space station and get your ship, because only shuttles can land.
It's like $1,000 to go to space, basically.
Yeah, have 1,000 coins if you're going to go to space. One of the things I thought was interesting about this, the money system. So it says coin 3,130. He bothered to like explain that it wasn't 3,130 gold coins. Like the tens digit is actually coppers. The like 0 through 9 is coppers.
Yeah.
The 10 through 90 is silvers, and then the other stuff up is gold.
Sure,
I don't know why, but yeah, like
or I've got 3,130. Doesn't matter.
He didn't make the story part of your problem.
Yeah,
is sort of my thing.
Yeah.
You can use a sector scan in space to kind of navigate your way around. Then you got to be going that way, doing hyper jumps between sectors. I'm really kind of.
But ultimately, you're just trying to kill 20 TIE fighters.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not really an exploration.
No.
Deal.
Not on this version. I'm going to go in here. Do I have an Apple version that has space? I hope so. Maybe not. No. Oh, wait a second.
So, here we go. Yep.
Okay, this will be slightly better. Video capture.
It's like behind the curtain.
I know you finally
you're
get to
doing.
see how this all.
Instead of just sitting at home wondering, what the hell is he doing?
Okay, so this is the Apple II version. I'm going into space.
Looks similar.
Looks very similar. You'll actually get to see some movement around. You'll notice they don't show gold here. They cover it up with fuel. You still need to have the gold.
You just don't know.
Yeah, you just don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta like do this weird docking because there's inertia. That's pretty cool.
Like once you start going in a direction, you keep going in that direction, and then when you to hyperjump, you got to go to the screen that's like that front display with all the stars coming at you. And so when the stars are coming at you, whatever direction you were facing in here is what direction you'll go on the grid. Now the Commodore and the re-release version show the entire sector. In this game, they only show, if you're looking at the bottom left corner, you can barely see it. There's like a little text output, and it's only the sectors right around you, and you still got to fly around all of them. It is more of an exploring situation. I kind of like that.
It seemed like the space stuff on the Apple was better. I also liked that you're moving your ship around as opposed to moving your turret around.
Yeah.
It was way better, I thought. It feels more like you're flying a spaceship.
Gun to my head, with exception of the slow load and the slow fade in the dungeons, I would play the Apple version over the re-release any day of the week. It's a better game. It's just more fun.
Yeah. Shame about that dungeon redraw, though.
Shame about the dungeon because it makes the game unplayable. It really does.
And like you are far more patient than I am.
Right.
I know this. And for you to say that it's annoying and you don't know if you can tolerate it, that's
let's see if we can find it.
Yeah, because it's worth seeing.
So we got a dungeon going on in here anywhere. Yeah, so
there's some good. I like the Apple sprites. Like each system has its own kind of
charm.
Yeah.
I know I've got some.
Yeah.
I know I've got some. Not here. Is this an Apple?
Yeah.
No, I want this. Yeah. Here we go.
Yeah, let's get that going.
All right. Pause. Back, man. All right. Let's start from here. Boop. Boop.
And transition. Very professional.
Although
that doesn't look right.
It doesn't look right.
Transition away.
We are just having nothing but technical difficulties. Why is this even?
That's not on any screen.
No.
Cool logo though.
Right?
Kinda. For the Apple.
What's going on here, video? You want to talk about something while I figure this out?
Yeah. Yeah, I was wrapped up in watching you troubleshoot it. Yeah, one thing that struck me about Ultima was there's experience points, but it doesn't seem to matter. I mean, you level up, but your stats are all kind of governed by finding signposts everywhere, which is an interesting system. But you can just bop around to all the signposts and inflate your stats really, really quickly. So, in general, the pacing on this game is quite odd, I would say.
Yeah.
Because
let's do it this way.
Once you get the
air car
or
frigate or
the
raft
frigate,
even, yeah.
It's bananas. Like, you can just go around and bump your stats up over if you know where you're going. I didn't know where I was going.
Right. Well, and here's one of the things that if you know what you're doing in this game, I've beaten it in like 2 hours. Just saw one of the differences here between the Apple version and the newer version. Monsters just pop up. In the newer version, it's almost arcadey because you can see them on the map running around. If you've got a ranged weapon, you can shoot them and you'll never take damage. It makes it much easier.
Yeah, that was my air car strategy. Like, just blast them with your lasers on your air car.
It's still fun because it's a total power fantasy.
Yeah,
and
right.
It's a fun power fantasy to be running around with a blaster car chasing down orcs and knights.
Yeah,
it was one of my favorite things to do in Civ 1 is I would rush tanks, and then people would still have like spearmen running around, and I'd just be taking tanks over them.
Yeah,
that's a great way to. There's a fun cathartic experience of completely outpowering the opposition, and this game just hands it to you and lets you enjoy it. And I think that's
for 900 gold.
For 900 gold, yeah,
which is not that much.
No. But the Apple version, they just attack. You never know where they're gonna be, and you never know when you're gonna get attacked. And especially in the beginning, when you start out with that 100 hit points, you feel a sense of this is dangerous. Right. I could lose my guy. The world is a dangerous place. The entire Apple version felt more, to me, like a real D&D game. And I think we're going to show it when we get to the dungeon here in a second. Did I skip the dungeon? I'm pretty sure.
I think it's right after this.
Okay. So let's just go.
But yeah, this must be early game because your stats aren't all maxed out.
No, I hadn't even gotten a frigate for a while. It took me a while. I
always liked on the Apple how there's like a red or that red and green, pink and green around the pixels. I don't know. There's a technical reason that happens, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't totally remember. Yeah, so this was before I found out. I should mention this. The Apple II version of Ultima I, if you use the enhanced for your ROM or try to play it on an Apple II enhanced, 2E, you can't shoot the TIE fighters. There's a bug in it that it's physically impossible to shoot the spaceships, so you can't play. So when that happened, I went looking for how do you solve it, and it's you roll it back to just a regular Apple II.
Yeah.
That's fine.
That's the emulator type in Apple One.
Yeah. Now, that also changes the keyboard. So if you're using the enhanced, the left and right arrow keys work, but for moving up and back, it was enter and question mark. So
that's the goofiest control scheme since ESDF.
It's the goofiest control scheme since ESDF. IJKL. I think I'm sorry, WASD is wrong.
It's not wrong.
Put your hands down to type. Put your hands down to type. Tell me where you put your fingers.
I mean, you put your fingers on ASDF JKL semicolon.
Right. And which fingers do you use to move around?
That doesn't matter.
Just because your fingers are in the right position most of the time, and then you slide them over for no good reason whatsoever.
Well, it is a good reason, because then you have easier access to the larger keys on the left.
With your pinky, right?
Well, look. Is this what we're gonna do?
Yeah, that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna fight
we're gonna hash this out once and for all. WASD, even if it's technically inferior, which it's not, it's
Jeez.
fine. It's not. It's what everything comes with, man. You don't have to remap your
Everything
keys
used
in
to come
every
with
game.
64K. Eventually, we got over that. We just let you
That's
have
not the
memory.
same
Now.
thing.
It's totally the
It's-
same thing.
This is
Some
a usability
idiot who didn't
issue.
know how to type. It is a usability issue.
But everything comes with WASD
That doesn't make it good.
pre-configured. It doesn't matter. Do
And
you want to be principled or do you want to play your game?
I want both.
You want to spend 20 minutes remapping your shit,
Oh, we
and then
gotta
you
do it
have to go
once.
look up every time you use it what you remapped it to, because you can't.
Only when
Google it
other people
anymore.
don't remember. And then I'm like, what key do you use for inventory? I'm like, well, I use I, but I don't know what it was supposed to be.
Yeah. I think like convention alone is a good enough reason to use WASD.
Horrible reason. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's fun. I love busting your chops on that.
Yeah. I
Uh,
started it, so it's my fault.
He really did.
I was begging to have that argument. What were we talking? Oh, you're talking about the positional key mapping.
Positional key mapping was really weird. We should also talk about, speaking of bad keys, like you had a problem with Ultima 3 and K for climb that
Yes.
bothered you.
Right.
The worst offender of bad choice for a letter for some N for noise.
So dumb.
I had my volume go off and I couldn't figure out why because I didn't do anything, and it's because I hit N.
There's not that many keys in this thing.
No,
there was
wasn't-
no reason that needed to be N for noise.
N for noise. No, I understand there was no convention back then. So.
True. Yeah. That's one thing I liked about this. Like in the later Ultima games, there's so many keys,
Mm-hmm.
and yet it still manages to be kind of ridiculous because you have coffins and you have chests.
This is a problem.
You have to unlock the chests
And just open the coffin.
and just open the.
So you to unlock a chest, O to open a coffin. Questron did that though.
Did it? Was it two separate keys?
Yes, which was part of my. That was part of where I was like, we're just kind of as a point.
Oh yeah, he totally has a point. Yeah.
After playing the Apple version, I'm like, oh man,
Yep.
man.
It had the trapdoors, which is also unique to the Apple version, right? On Ultima 1?
Yes.
Because my version did not have trapdoors.
Yeah, didn't have trapdoors. I love the trapdoors.
I think it's a great. Because you got to check for traps.
You got to check for traps, and it punishes you for traps in a way beyond just losing hit points.
Yep.
It puts you somewhere you didn't want to be, but you can still know where you are and know how to get out.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it dangerous because now not only are you
Right.
take the damage from the fall, but now you're in a more dangerous place in the dungeon.
Right.
And it makes you think about the dungeon. I noticed immediately I stopped thinking about the dungeon as a 2D map I move around, and it became a 3D object.
Right.
And man, that's a better thing. That just from a gameplay, everything about it was better.
Right. You have to be cautious. You can't just storm around the dungeon all willy-nilly.
Mm-mm.
Not that you could storm around this with it redrawing every
pass. I was hitting pass to be like, does it really every?
Yeah, it's not fast either.
No.
But yeah, if it weren't for this, I would agree that the Apple version is much better.
Yeah, this is the one thing that just kills it is the speed.
I was annoyed in the dungeons because I would get attacked from a side and I didn't know which side, and inevitably I'd turn the wrong direction. But this doesn't even tell you what direction you're facing.
Nope. You don't know what direction you're facing. You don't know what level you're on. But the new versions let you do that. And I think from a playability standpoint, because it is just lines, I think that's a fair thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That there's nothing else to distinguish. It's in so many of the rooms in this are one square, 4 doors. At least let me know what way I'm facing, because I might have bumped a key waiting for the redraw to happen, and I don't know what way I'm facing.
Right. That's totally fair. Like they should do you a favor and tell you, because I've recently only started mapping these games after years of you encouraging me to do it, and I've learned to really like it, and being able to just know that, okay, I'm facing south when I go down the ladder into the dungeon is huge.
Yes. No, it's such a huge thing. Or when you fall through a pit or something like that.
Yeah,
It's
right.
just giving you that little hint of it. And even if you do something like Bard's Tale does, where you got to have a spell and you cast the compass, and then they can take it away sometimes to add a little confusion and like tweak
Right.
your experience here and there. But man, give me something to start with. Give me
Yeah.
something to kind of mess around with.
Especially when you're drawing it like this, because to spin around and get your bearings is agonizing. When you have to redraw this whole thing, like I couldn't do this.
I didn't do it much.
Yeah.
Like I did it enough for this and to kind of get a sense of it, and then I got stuck down here a couple times because I really wanted to like the dungeon. I like the mechanics of the dungeon better. It's the actual engine getting in my way, and that's just so disappointing.
Yeah.
It's so disappointing to have the engine get in my way. Small hidden secrets.
Yeah, the
Standing next to the Lecher. Here's how I get through it in 2 hours.
Yeah.
You start out with 100 experience, or 100 hit points, 100 food, and like 100 gold.
Yep.
Even if you start out with no gold, just do something to get like 30, 40 gold. You just need a few gold. Go into Lord British's castle.
Right next to where you start.
Right next to where you start. And on your way in, there's a big pool in the middle, and then further back there's 2 pools, a north one and a south one. Stand up next to the north pool, drop 10 gold, see what weapon you got. If you got a blaster, you're done. If you didn't, drop another 10 gold. Do it until you get a blaster. Once you have a blaster, you have everything you need.
Yeah.
Because you can shoot things. Murder. Yeah, you can shoot things from 3-4 squares away.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the dungeons, sometimes you get a little bum rushed in the dungeons when you come in and they're right on top of you. But with a blaster, you're doing enough damage that it doesn't matter. Strength boosts blaster damage, which I don't understand, but whatevs.
Yeah.
And at that point, you really can burn through stuff very quickly to raise your stats and raise your stuff. Did we talk about how to raise hit points in this game? Because it's not tied to level.
Right. I was bitching about that.
So, like, stats went up on this. I heard you talk about the stats in the signpost.
On the signpost.
But you can raise them 2 ways. You can either give the king money, which kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Or you kill monsters in the dungeon, leave the dungeon, and for the number of monsters you killed, you get more hit points. So I just gained 172 hit points.
It's not capped by your level or anything.
Nope.
It's just like free, so you can just bomb those dungeons over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I did, and I didn't know that would happen.
Yeah.
So when I got out and saw that I suddenly had 500 hit points when I went in with 100, it was like Christmas. This is not a hard game.
It is not a hard game, which is why if you want to get people into Ultima, I kind of recommend starting here. Everybody asks what Ultima should they start with, and I would recommend like 4, or some recommend 7. 1 and 3 are my tips.
Yeah.
I like 3 a little better because there's a little more story, and if you've got a role player who really wants a little more story to it, maybe point them at 3.
Mm-hmm.
But man, 1 is just get a sense of the world and the way Lord British thinks and how the game's put together. I can't complain about that.
Yeah, this has been my favorite personally because I loved Questron.
Mm-hmm.
I love that you were talking about how the monsters just spawn in this one. Questron was like that. I really like that about Questron, was that feeling of
I'm jumped.
You have to worry all the time, and you don't get that in the other one because you can pretty much run away from them indefinitely.
Mm-hmm.
You move one, they move one.
Yeah. Even in Ultima 3, like, you move one, they move one, but then you also can, like, put a chest in the way and then, like, hide behind a chest, let all your stuff heal up, and then go in and attack.
Yeah.
You are always in control in those games. When they jump you, and, like, the first time I was playing this, I didn't realize what was happening. I thought I had a bugged ROM. I thought, because I couldn't, because it was one of these things where you can't even see kind of what's attacking you. It's a little stick figure in the woods.
Yeah, the hidden archers.
The hidden archers and stuff. Like, I thought, I'm like, man, did I get a bad copy of this? What's going on?
But no, it's just how it is.
It's just how it is. So, difference. This is why I do the show. Character creation.
Oh, yeah.
That was one of the differences between the 2 systems, too. So, in the original 1980 version, you can't choose gender.
Mm-hmm.
And In the original 1980 version, you start with no points in any stat, and you can give them whatever you want. In the re-release, it starts at 10 and goes up.
Yeah. Honestly, I just did straight 15s because I don't think it matters too much.
No. My recommendation is not to take a fighter, because anybody can cast spells, anybody can use any armor, anybody can do anything. It's mostly what do your stats start at.
Mm-hmm.
And as you go around the world, all the signposts give you boosts for everything but strength.
Mm-hmm.
So the kings send you on a quest to go find the signposts, and all the kings give you strength.
Mm-hmm.
Which means for each lap around the world, you're going to raise all your stats by 1, except for strength, which you'll raise 4 times.
Right.
And did you talk about how stats raise? So, like, if you're 10 to 20, you'll get a +9 to the stat.
Mm-hmm.
If you're 20 to 30, it's a +8, and then +7, +6, +5. So after 90, it takes 10 to get to 100. So, I mean, depending on where you are, there's probably some way to min-max exactly what you need to put the stats at to like minimize your trips, but I'm not doing that math.
Yeah.
You can ping pong back and forth on the island between 2 signposts, just to raise those faster.
Yeah, it turns into kind of a grind, really.
Yeah, but since you're flying around on an airship shooting orcs, it doesn't feel too bad.
Right. And you never really feel like you're lacking for stats anyway.
Mm-mm. Stats don't really feel like that heavy in the game. They don't really feel like they're making it that.
Especially with no levels. Like, you don't get that, release of brain chemicals when you level up like you do in other games.
No, it feels almost empty. That's the game could go without levels and stats, and I think it'd be just as fun.
Yeah.
It really would. And it takes some of the grind out, really.
Mm-hmm. The skeleton's adorable.
I
really like the skeleton. I really liked most of the creatures. I thought the gelatinous cube was kind of a cop-out. I was excited about that, but it's just like an extra set of lines.
An extra set of lines on the thing.
Like, come on.
The thing I like about the skeletons is it looks like a comb-over.
Yeah, it totally does.
Or like he's got that Charlie Brown curl or something.
Yeah.
On his chest. Nina and I played What's the Monster when I was doing this. Because she was sitting behind me as I was playing, and I'm like, okay, what is that? And sometimes she gets like, oh, that's a bat or a rat. Another time she's like, I got no idea. That's a
I like
hairball.
The thing with 2 heads, I like that.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. The scorpion was a little hard to read, or I don't remember what it's called, but it's like a giant scorpion.
Spider?
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, there's a spider that like hangs down and looks weird.
Yeah.
Nina had a hard time with the thieves.
Sure. I get that. The pizza face thieves.
Yeah, pizza face thieves. I think the Rangers are by far the funniest.
Oh yeah, they're like goofy looking. Dudes.
Yeah. But
yeah, I would say play this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Play this for sure. If you like lightweight, old school role playing games.
Yeah.
If you liked Questron and haven't played Ultima for some reason, which was I might be the only person in the world who experienced that, but if you like one, play the other, basically.
Oh, I see what's going on here.
Unless you're super principled and, you object to the derivative nature of Questron.
I know. Questron's a better game.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well,
Questron's a better game.
I agree. I didn't want to say anything because I don't want to start a second fight, but yeah.
I'll start all the fights.
Yeah.
I'm bringing all the beefs.
Airing of grievances.
Airing of grievances. All right. So next game we're playing in 2 weeks. Castle Wolfenstein.
Yep. It's a quickie.
It's a quickie. Old school, not the id version, the original Muse software. Top down, explore the maze, get out.
Shoot some Nazis.
Shoot some Nazis. Always a fun time.
Yep.
After that...
Yeah, this is our next big game is going to be...
It's going to be... Boom, 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 boom. Now you can actually see me do the transition.
Star Control.
This was a request that happened like right after we started.
Wow.
Like this was possibly our first "Would you guys play this game?" and I totally forgot.
Oh man.
So he poked me again recently, and I'm like, "Yes, I will get Star Control. And
Yeah.
let's play some Star Control." Fair warning, I will probably do heavy comparison of this to Starflight.
Starflight? I have not played either.
No, Starflight's got to get on our list soon because Starflight is an amazing game. I played it way late after the fact and was immediately mad at myself.
Really?
Because it's so good. So, this game's got some heavy boots to fill here.
Yeah.
Because my little experience with this, put it in that arena. I'll be interested to see if I still feel that way this time when we play it.
I think I played Star Control 3 very briefly back in the 90s.
Jake was really into it.
Yeah.
And so he kind of got us to play, and maybe that's it. But no,
Yeah.
this whole series sort of passed us.
Yeah. So it'll be fun to check it out. Cool cover.
Cool cover. Cool cover. Anything grabbing things in a metal fashion.
Right.
Got metal hand going on.
Right. With some jewelry.
Yeah.
Some like futuristic bracelets.
Yeah. Circuitry bracelets.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you want to say about Ultima or Star Control or Wolfenstein or
No.
ESDF and how I'm right?
No, definitely not the last thing.
Okay.
No, I'm good.
All right. Well, then, thanks everybody for watching.
Thanks.
Bye.